Are you looking for your next 5-star read? I have it for you. This book, I couldn't put it down, and I knew immediately upon finishing it that it was going to be a 5-star read, but I did take a minute to write my review because I wanted it to be just intentional, and I wanted to sit with this one because despite the fact that the book itself is really, really good, I found that the introduction and the author's note at the end were probably the most impressive parts of this book to me. And that's, that's rare. I feel like when we're writing historical fiction, it is extremely important for the author to recognize the realities in which they are centering a story. And Cain does this better than anyone I've ever seen in my life. The introduction in and of itself is just so well done. The way he talks about his intentionality and the positioning of himself in this history it was really, really good. And so I really encourage anyone who picks this one up, do not skip the introduction. It's extremely important to the story, and it's extremely important to the history when it comes to stories like this. And Cain kind of talks about in this intro how when he was talking to a friend about writing this story, sorry, my cat is playing with a toy. How when he was talking to a friend about writing this story, his friend was like, don't write a slave story. We don't need another slave story. And Cain's ability to recognize that telling traumatic stories and a traumatic history over and over and over again, while that can be harmful, it is also important when someone is doing it intentionally. And so I think that's why this introduction is so important, because Cain talks about how this is not just another slave story. This is, this is a story about giving power to the powerless. It is a story about, giving a voice to the silence. It is a story about punishing those who did evil things. And we don't often get that perspective when it comes to narratives like this. It is rare for us to see a story where an enslaved person has taken back their own freedom, but in a way where they punish the people who did what they did to them. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. I don't want to get into deep specifics because I want this book to be shocking to you. I want you to go into it with zero knowledge of what's about to happen. But what I will say is the way that Cain weaves this narrative, all of the characters come together in such a beautiful way in the end, and I loved that. That is perhaps the best part of the narrative itself, outside of the introduction and the author's notes. But in the end, the author's note also is just really good at the end. So it's another thing I really encourage you to read when you pick this one up, and you should pick this one up. I'm telling you right now. But like I said, it really just reinforces the intentionality of the work that Cain does in this story. And so despite the fact that he has built this story on real archival evidence, it is hard to do something like that when archival inequities exist in this country and throughout the world, because those silences make it difficult to tell a story for someone, because those records do not tell the full picture, or they have not been achieved. We've not achieved an abundance of record keeping when it comes to the historically marginalized. And so the fact that Cain did not shy away from that, it just further emboldened him to tell this story and to write a narrative about these people, is just truly, it's amazing. It was really, really well done, and I think you should absolutely pick this one up. The fact that archival silences and this being scared of writing a redundant story did not make him shy away from starting this project. And I must say, none of these things are redundant. It is truly a unique story in and of itself. I can't even begin to tell you how good it is. So you should absolutely pick this one up. I really, really liked it. Please.